Hey, what's going on? Ryan here with Intersection Records, talking about recent words from Branford Marsalis about sitting in with the Grateful Dead and how that really kind of changed his life, changed his career for the better, put him in front of more people, more music fans, more popular music fans, more than just jazz fans. Of course, Branford Marsalis is from a musical family, son of Ellis Marsalis and brother of Wynton Marsalis. He's a great saxophone player, soprano player. He worked with Jay Leno as the house music coordinator of The Tonight Show after Doc Severinsen left Johnny Carson's show. And, you know, famously, Branford sat in March of 1990, I believe March 29th at Nassau Coliseum, on the invite of Phil Lesh to sit in on a Grateful Dead concert, the second of two shows at the Nassau Coliseum, and really just kind of sit in and improvise. Didn't really know the material, drove down from a show in upstate New York, came down, got backstage, came in on the second set, and the rest is history. They would end up collaborating multiple times over the years. You know, he really says the reaction to his playing by the fans was absolutely crazy. He says that's because Dead fans are different than a lot of other fans. And he says this about Dead fans. He says you can take a guy like Sting. You can waste your time trying to deny the fact that he's handsome if that suits you. But he is handsome and he's talented and he writes these incredible songs. But because of that, you have tiers of people who are there for different reasons. A lot of women are there because of the fact that he's hot and they like the songs. But they're not saying, oh my God, Sting, a really good bass player, which he is. But that's not crossing their minds. He also goes on to say the Dead didn't have to deal with those pretenses. They started out in the 60s where that wasn't really happening. Their fans are big music fans. A lot of Dead fans, they have a keen sense of when the band is really killing it and when they're not. That is a rare trait. He says, I would talk to them and they would say, yeah, the boys are a little off today, but you picked it up. I guess it's tough in many situations to play with the same guys for 30 or 35 years. He says that I was like a new sexual partner that they showed up, and it was like, wow, we like this. Let's get him in, because I brought a different sound to it. And I think that a lot of the guys that played jazz, sat in with Dead, just played jazz. So he says, you know, they had a lot of jazz sit-ins over the years. Ornette Coleman had played with them. Flora Purim had sang with them. He said they had a lot of guys sit in varying degrees of success. Mostly lack of success because a lot of the guys who are up there playing with them didn't grow up playing popular music. So a lot of the guys that sat in with the Dead on the jazz level really were coming from an old school jazz background. And the Grateful Dead does get jazzy, of course. But because Branford was a little bit younger, he had a popular music sensibility. And when he sat in, for instance, on Eyes of the World in 1990 at Nassau Coliseum, which, by the way, was put out later the following September in '91 as part of the live album Dead's Without a Net, which I highly recommend listening to the Eyes of the World from that section. You know, again, Branford was invited down by Phil Lesh and shows up and sits in initially just for the song Bird Song towards the end of the first set. And there was an instant chemistry. Marsalis ended up joining the band for the entire second set, including the before-mentioned Eyes of the World, which is just, you know, even people that don't like the Grateful Dead, my brother Dennis doesn't really care for it. I've played him that Eyes of a World with Branford, and it's instant, oh my God, this is great. You have to listen to that if you if you, and Branford says it changed his life. His shows, he started having Deadheads show up to his shows because they saw his chemistry with the band and the fact that he could improvise in a similar way that Jerry Garcia could sit in with other bands and improvise. Branford had the sensibility to take music to another height, and he would come up with melodies and counter melodies. And if you listen to that recording, and again at Oakland Coliseum on New Year's Eve in 1990, again at Madison Square Garden on September 10th, 91, with Bruce Hornsby on piano by now, and then again in December of 93 and 94 in LA. He's able to add melodies that actually elevate the music. It's not just kind of soloing. He's doing things that add to the music. You know, it's pretty amazing what he did. Here's a note that he wrote to the band after that sit-in on March 29th of 1990, and this is directly from Dennis McNally's book, What a Long Strange Trip It's Been, The Inside History of the Grateful Dead. He said on Thursday night, I had the best time I've ever had in my entire life. I now know that playing rock and roll can be all that I've envisioned it would be. I had the best time in my entire life. I now know what playing rock and roll can be all that I envisioned it would be. You know, it changed his life, like he said. Thanks for watching my channel. Subscribe if you liked some of the content. We do shows every day. We're gonna be reviewing and ranking the albums of Return to Forever tomorrow. Peace out. Be good. See you later.